ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ബ്ലാക്ക് ഡേവിഡ് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നു. ഹലോ,
കേട്ടില്ല.
ഞാൻ പോകുന്നു. എന്താ ബ്ലാക്ക് ലേബിളും കുറെ ചോറ് കൊണ്ടുവന്നു. ഒരു കുപ്പി ബ്ലാക്ക് ലേബിളും കുറെ ചോറും സാമ്പാറും ക്യാരറ്റ് തോരനും കൊണ്ടുവരുത്താ വരുന്നത്.
ഹെൽത്തി ആണല്ലോ.
നിങ്ങളെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ടില്ല, സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. എന്റെ അക്കൗണ്ടിന്റെ പാസ്വേഡ് കൊണ്ടാടുന്നത് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്.
വാവ്.
നാളെ കാണണ്ട. ചേച്ചിനപ്പൊ നാളെ കാണണ്ടാന്ന്.
ഓ അങ്ങനെ.
Your turn to ban. Five seconds remaining.
Stuck on it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video.
ഞാനെന്നാ കുറച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് വരാം. BRB.
ഓക്കെ
ബൈ. അയ്യോ, ഹലോ ഗൈസ്, ഹായ്, വെൽക്കം ടു സ്ട്രീം. എനിക്ക് വയ്യ. ടൈറ്റിൽ ഞാൻ എന്താന്ന് പറഞ്ഞില്ലല്ലേ, പുല്ല്. ഓക്കെ, ടൈറ്റിൽ വേറെ ഒന്നുമല്ല. ഞാൻ ഇന്നൊരു കുറച്ച് കാലം ശേഷം ഒരു എക്സാം എഴുതാൻ പോയി. സോ അത് തന്നെ. Retards. കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച തുടങ്ങിയ അക്കൗണ്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞു വന്നത്.
Prepare for battle.
Indeed.
30 seconds to battle.
I charge ahead. Onward. Upon this plane,
video, I want to let you know that I'm quitting my job as a game journalist for IGM to pursue my true passion, which is speedrunning. So follow me along my journey as I build my
beast
27
is
years of gaming
broken.
experience to beat the hardest games as quick as possible.
first blood!
Come on!
First blood! We're off to an explosive
I
start!
run rampant. Axe is impressed.
Come on!
I have their scent.
Oh man, I can't believe how difficult that boss battle is. Oh, would you look at
Yes.
that? That's my best time yet.
Look there.
Loba, orphan turned professional feast for father being a wonderful role model. Steals from the wrong dang guy and ends up with a murderous robotic nightmare bounty hunter
Beast
sent
of
by a
all
syndicate
work, I'm
and
under
organizers
attack.
of the Apex games. Said horrific Crimson Demon successfully overcomes the 2v1
All
gank against
paths.
Loba's parents and subsequently realizes he is in fact made of metal and has no real boy blood. This causes a somewhat ironic murder cycle with Loba's finger on the trigger this time around. Learning that Revenant has joined the Apex games through unorthodox methods, Loba decides to follow the spirit of the Apex games by not killing him. You see, Revenant's a clumsy guy and accidentally misplaced his human skull, the key to his immortality. It's all been there. After Loba fails to destroy his head, Jected, she hears the greatest news that Revenant's a little dramatic and actually wants to die. Eduardo Silva, CEO of Silva Pharmaceuticals, while the current one is a fraud masquerading as his dead son. Learning that Revenant's head game is strong, he also seeks that chrome dome for his own equally nefarious reasons. Now, Lifeline, Mad Maggie, Crypto, Valkyrie, and Loba band together to solve this robotic Revenant riddle and stop Eduardo Silva's raving, ravenous rampage.
The way is clear.
Okay, listen up everyone. That big guy in there has a 1% chance of dropping the Dark Moon Blade that I know you all want. Luckily, I'm a mage, so I don't need it, so I'm looking forward to that 95% chance Crystal stack. So whoever's lucky enough to get the Dark Moon Blade, please not be jealous and just celebrate it, okay?
Get away from my game! Attack!
Yes, we did it! Nice, guys! Okay, you all got it.
Look there!
I'm sorry, dude. We're all just so overwhelmed with our crazy legendary drop. How's your crystal staff?
I didn't get it.
Didn't it have a 95% chance?
Don't you think I know that already?
What's the fracas?
Do the Mario swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go.
One blade is much like
Ooh, it's
another.
me, Mario! We are completely bankrupt. The money we spent on the commercial, bunk. Haven't made a single dime back. We've got no
I'm
job.
under attack!
Mario, Mario, stop pushing away. Look at my bio. Look at this now. What's doing the pipe? Jesus Christ!
On this
What
blade,
happened to you?
We got stuff to do a pipe and I ended
I
up here.
rock
I lost my brother. I don't know where my brother is.
I really hope he didn't end up where I think he did.
You talking about Bowser's domain? You got that Bowser's in a train. Hello, King Bowser. Sorry to interrupt. I assume it's not a problem.
Absolutely not. I think Bowser's busy, which means Luigi's somewhere worse.
beast of all
Oh, Mario,
worlds.
this isn't a Bowser's castle. Where am I?
Yeah, buddy, I wish I could tell you this is Bowser's domain, but
Between
it's
the
still with an
blades.
isekai anime.
yes. I charge ahead.
The prize is
I
mine!
can't believe they're making me do it. Oh, hey! Hey, welcome to Xbox headquarters. Today we're making a video about every console we ever made and how all the names completely make sense. Follow along, friend. We start our journey with the Xbox original, the thing that started it all. Then we move on to the Xbox 360. Now, mind you, this thing was pretty powerful. It had almost half a gig of RAM. Now we have the Xbox 360S. For people that wanted an Xbox 360S. Then we have an Xbox 360E. This thing, I think, was more of a prank. I actually don't remember ever producing this. I don't think it was real. Anyway, now we have the Xbox One, our 5th console. Okay, I know what you're about to ask. Xbox One? Why would you name it that if it's your 5th console? And I have to let you know that my employer told me to make you leave the premises if you ask that question. Moving on. And this brings us to our Xbox One S for the people that forgot to buy the other one. And then now we have the Xbox One X. See, we added an X so you knew which one you were getting. It's brand new. And then we made the Xbox Series X because we added the X. Okay, these two aren't connected, but they... okay, I don't know what the hell this is. I've never seen this a day in my life. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed it, and jeez, I wonder what PlayStation's up to. Hey, everybody. My name is Mr. PlayStation. I'm gonna show you guys how we name our consoles. What are you up to, Jeffrey? Oh, am I on? Is it my Oh, hey, everybody. I'm playing the new PlayStation 5, and I love the graphics, and I love that I had to buy it from a scalper on eBay for $14,000 because we only managed to produce about 7 of them. That's great. That's awesome. Anyway, we're gonna go into the back. We're gonna show you a little sneak peek how we name our consoles. We got one guy around here, named them all. He's kind of a genius. Let's go check it out. Hey guys, I'm himself, to Tyler, something like that. He's the genius behind all the names of the PlayStations. Maybe he can work his magic again with us today. Hypothetically, if we were to make another console after the PlayStation 5, what do you think we should name it? Oh, let me think. I wonder. Don't worry, I've got an answer for you. We'd name the console the PlayStation 6. Oh my God! Bow down to the master. We're not worthy. How does he keep coming up with these?
Dire structures are fortified.
One world is much like another.
No way! Is that what I think it is? A bandwagon? Can I hop on? Oh, you have messed up now. You think you all can make videos dragging stuff around on screens? Boy, that's my territory! And you guys messed up. You're making theme tier list videos like, oh, my favorite fast food and my favorite Mario Kart track. You know what? No one even cares about that. My tier list is gonna have D tier? That's B tier, boy! Toast sandwich, baby! Let's put that in like F tier. And while we're at it, let's just rename F tier. Tastes like cat food. Roller coasters. Everybody likes roller coasters. Right? I'm thinking like B, maybe A tier, maybe S tier. No, I think like, yeah, I would put that in like a solid A tier. But Ferris wheels, on the other hand, are pieces of trash. You usually go to these at like a carnival or something, and they were built overnight with like by one guy that was like half drunk, and they're mostly made out of rust and screws. So, oh boy, you're high up in a machine that's built to kill you. That's a big H tier for hell no. Corn dogs, C tier. But a dog
Your middle tower is under
easiest
attack.
S plus I've ever given. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments for this one. Guys, I'm gonna have to give Depression a G tier. It's just not that great, man. But on the other hand, I'm gonna have to give my shadow demon that watches me sleep an easy C tier. I learned his name. His name is Archibald, and he loves to play checkers. These kind of ice cubes,
Your
D
middle
tier.
tower
But
is
these
under
kind of
attack.
ice cubes, that's an easy A tier. This ice cube is like a G tier though. Fine, here's an easy one.
Your
Cat
middle
food. I think we
tower
all
is
know where
under
this
attack.
one's going. It's an easy S tier. That is a good midnight snack. God, I know this one is gonna start an argument in the comments. All right, this corner of the tier list I think belongs in B tier. I know a lot of you are gonna say D
chat
or
open
C
ആക്കാൻ
tier, but
മറന്നു.
I think it deserves B tier. Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door is going to be an easy S plus tier. I feel this is one of the best RPGs ever made. The story is really great. Characters, like combat, really fun. There's extras. I just feel like it belongs in S tier. Now, Sticker Star, on the other hand, I'm thinking more, in the trash. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the single easiest S plus I could ever give something. And while we're at it, let's put Konosuba where it belongs. In the trash can, homie. That's a terrible anime.
Wait a minute, that's one of my favorite animes. This tier list is trash.
And that's why your opinion is going right into Tastes Like Cat Food. And my opinion is
Radiant
going right into S
structures
tier.
are fortified.
Whoa, welcome to the internet, baby.
All paths lead to conflict.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Killing spree!
Ascent. I will. One world.
Your middle tower is under attack.
They
put me on a goddamn stick connected to the ceiling, and I had to make all my snow babies, and you killed my favorite one.
Your middle tower is under
You're
attack.
kind of a dick. Bring me the girl.
Yo, gee whiz, our goose is gray. I just got word that Palpatine, the old guy from the other Star Wars films, he's back. He's been pulling the strings the whole time. Okay, listen up. We're gonna be fine, okay? I got a book back home. It's gonna tell us we gotta find a knife in a sand planet, alright? We're gonna be fine. We got a powerful crew. We got a standing bear thing. I'm a Jedi. You're a thing. And we're gonna be fine, okay? Don't be scared. Oh, God, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. We shouldn't have gone on this mission. Oh, why didn't anyone tell me there was gonna be black mud here? The most dangerous thing in all the galaxy. Oh, Joe, okay, I guess we're fine. Oh, my God, they got big worms down here, though.
Your bottom tower has fallen.
Oh, what that's the thing we're looking for on this dang old sand planet. Oh, criminy crackers. I think this dang
Dire's
thing's in
structures
Chinese.
are
I can't read a word of it.
Your
Actually, it's
middle
in the
tower
Sith
is
language.
under attack.
I could translate it for you, but the truth is I just don't feel like it.
Endurance.
Holy crap, that's a weird-looking bear. You know what? You're coming with us.
Now, if I have anything to say about it...
Let's go that bear.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Bring you down.
Ray, that's someone that's
Double kill!
memory of us being his friends. Before we do this, I want to take one last look at my... Alright, apparently this stupid dang knife...
Assassin's Creed again, people thought, and they were primed for this. This video was sponsored by Brilliant. The year was 2014. The 8th console generation had just arrived. They told us the games would be incredible. They lied. Watch Dogs? Whack. Destiny? Whack. Assassin's Creed Unity? Whack. Launch catastrophes and immense disappointments made 2014 one of the most infamous years for games. I'm under All 10 years out, many of the games that defined 2014's disastrous lineup have been partially rehabilitated. Unity runs properly. It's good now, they say. And Watch Dogs, well, it was never that bad. The Shadow of Mordor situation is
Your
different.
bottom
Is
tower
it
is
so
under
easy to
attack.
venerate 2014's victor in a world still familiar with launch disasters, but also one graced with masterpieces on a year of
Enemy's top tower
and big
has
games
fallen.
are cheaper and more accessible than ever, in a world so much more weary of open-world action adventures. The answer is no. It's not so easy. It's complicated, because in some ways, this game is awful, and time has made those flaws cut ever deeper. In many ways, I think all its greatest strengths are overlooked, and in just one way, I think it's one of the best games ever made, even now. And the Nemesis system is only part of it. So let's He finds himself drawn to the faint glow of He holds it, then he knows the sword it used to be, to train with the corpse on the Black Gate of Mordor. He is Dirheil, Talion's son. Soon, he will be dead. But why? Well, as Galadriel narrates in typical Lord of the Rings fashion, it probably has something to do with Middle-earth's Robbie Rotten, Sauron, but the true reason is monoliths. This is a revenge story. Middle-earth's John Wick, and I don't see any dogs around, do you? So it'll be his family that dies. Not exactly an original motive, but monoliths do have a few ideas to help deliver the impact. Though of course it is you who is being trained in the basics of attacks and counters. Talion is training Dirheil. He is inexperienced and overconfident, and he needs to be reminded of that for when the time comes. Then the time comes. So you Talion is worry. You wonder when he'll make a mistake. You wonder if this will be the one that gets him. You feel relief that he won't. You continue to fear the moment of his pride is crushed. It's Talion's wife, Yorith, who teaches stealth. You want me to stealth kill my wife? But no, it's a flower sent all the way from Gondor, in a criminally smooth conjunction of mechanical and narrative exposition. Like Dirheil as the son, Yorith is a touch more than the idyllic wife archetype. We learn in her last moments that she chose to come with Talion to the Black Gate, to be with him despite her father's disapproval, despite the conditions here, and that she wants to leave. Soon, Talion says in a half-hearted attempt at consoling her. Soon, she repeats, having heard it all before. It's his fault his family are at the Black Gate. Guilt. to make what happens next a touch more gore. There are no introductions, there's no extravagance. The camera shares Talion's helplessness as the boot and sword of the Black Hand passes over Deerheil to his mother's screams, and then to her. By the time he reaches her, you understand explains what needs to be done to break this curse, find the one who cast it, the Black Hand of Sauron. And that's all he needed to hear. Monolith earned this fucking title drop.
The way is clear. One world is much like another. Yes.
That was Nathan Griggs' metal remix of the Ringverse. Somebody get that man a fucking medal. Oh, and it's good to be back to reviewing title drops on White the bow. We're gonna interrogate orcs for intel. Then let loose in Mordor. What about Mordor? Well, it's very much Mordor. Everything is dead or dying or soon to be. Everything is sharp and jagged, from the structures to the rocks to the mountains and the metal. And all the metal is rusted. The iron veins make the cliffs look wounded. Flesh-like patches picked raw, and the ground bursts and spits steam in the wake of Mount Doom's rising heat. They get the tone right. This is a land of death, but that does not make it boring to look at and play it, because it's not quite the Mordor we know. Monolith make a number of very wise changes, both to establish canon and to its popular portrayals as vast, barren, brown plains. Step 1. Ignoring the plains-based, Mordor is a glorious dark place. Just dark, deep canyons from end to end, creating bridges to cross, walls to climb, and cliffs to jump from. And as not flat as it is also not empty.
Killing spree! Double kill!
Sauron's occupation of Udun had been the status quo for 1,000 years, and suggesting instead that it only just started, like a week ago. So the landscape is still littered with elven ruins, not yet dust, adding depth, history, and variance. The earth has not yet been stripped of its resources, and the means of Sauron's wicked industry dominate the Black Road, with immense cranes above, rocks sent down slides, and carts sacked filled with oil. The late-game Sea of Nirn is still verdant, and though in Udun the bellowing of the mountain has seared the sky
Your
red,
bottom
it is
tower
yet to
is
be
under
red,
attack.
and ash has not yet buried all its colours. The white of Gondor, the green of what little vegetation is yet to choke, the sun that is not yet blotted out, that on occasion portrays a normal daylight, which highlights these natural colours. Still, it rains in Mordor, and there is still water on the ground that is yet to boil. It only takes a closer look to see the cracks and shadow of Mordor's graphical makeup. Terrain textures are badly outdated, and reflections reflect nothing, which is made painfully apparent by larger pools. And yet, when you look at the game as it is usually seen, the picture is completely convincing. The daylight colour, the shadows, and the impression of the reflections of water. Mordor does not show its age, not unless you look for the wrinkles. The finishing touch to the its vast and monstrous structures where orcs and captains gather in their halls. I wonder, what's impressive about a fort in an open world game? I'd answer, their ability to develop the setting, while being varied, inventive, and intimidating. Durthel was once an arm of Gondor, still standing tall for you to avenge its craters from above. It's divided by a canyon but connected by a bridge, where combat naturally flows as orcs pour in from both sides and the player uses the ledge to their advantage. Uruk's Hollow
Your
far
top
from here is a
tower is under
ramshackle
attack.
village. It's sprawling and
Dire
disorganized, and most
structures are
welcoming to the
fortified.
stealth approach, as sightlines are easily broken and roofs are easily traversed, while the vast
Your
gap between the
top
high
tower is under
platforms of
attack.
Sauron's gate welcomes all-out war. The benefit to the picture up close or towering in the distance. If you really get the sense that if you weren't playing as Talion, this would be a terrifying place to be. But you are playing as Talion, and so you're not scared in Mordor, you're angry with it. This game is about revenge, and slaying monsters and bad blood is the fantasy Monolith aim to deliver. So our interactions with the world around us are designed with the intention to make us feel powerful. It's got Assassin's Creed stealth and Arkham's combat. With the intention to make us feel powerful would be the more appropriate term. People back then were quick to point out Mordor's striking similarities to other popular franchises. And if Monolith wanted to avoid such comparison, they certainly didn't help their case. It's as if they were trying to make you think of other games as they proudly display their towers to climb and their map with icons on it. Despite the fact that most of those icons are collectibles or dynamic events, not side quests, despite the fact that climbing every tower in the game will take you no more than 2 minutes combined, and despite the fact that Mordor isn't a large open world, it's dense and entirely uninterested in the bloat of scale. This isn't a Ubisoft game in the sense we now fear, nor is it a thoughtless amalgamation of what was popular at the time. What it is heavily inspired by some very good ideas and some very mean. The stealth. Yes, there is a surface-level climbing system. No, it's not like Assassin's Creed. It's like the new Assassin's Creeds, which are like Assassin's Creed, and conform instead to a generic AAA stealth combat. There is crouching, detection gauges, bushes to hide in, instant stealth takedowns, and short, brutal animations. You've seen this in Tomb Raider to The Last of Us to Far Cry. What's interesting about Shadow of Mordor's rendition is just how far it goes
Your
to
middle
emphasize the
tower
power
is under
fantasy.
attack.
Detection rate is slow, detection radius is small, detection propagation is weak, which means an orc needs to be very close to another orc to pass along their detection. And detection range is long, which means there is about 10 seconds after being detected where you can still stealth kill. Your crouch run is as fast as your normal run, killing is silent, running makes noise, but it will never alert you as soon as you everywhere. Bushes are everywhere. The environment is like Mordor flies to sow terror, Caragors to release from their cages, and explosives to detonate. And don't imagine these tactical options that they're a convenience. Press button to delete threat with no complications. Enemies won't sound the alarm, so nothing is made more difficult for Talion who uses them. And they can be used from afar, so there is no risk that you will be detected. And if you are detected, you have a undisclosed time. Stealth is shallow and incredibly easy, and in many cases that means exactly what you think it would. It's Keller Brim boring. The kills are satisfying always, but even their short length begins to feel too long when you're thoughtlessly progressing from one orc to the next, to the next, to the next, for the 50th time. Strongholds add to the spectacle, but man, the basic stealth experience of Shadow of Mordor gets on faster than you can run, which is really fast enough to run faster. Experiment, stumbling upon the potential that existed here. Shadow of Mordor has unusually forgiving detection mechanics and an unusually powerful sandbox. So I challenge myself to kill orcs loudly, but so quickly that stealth is effectively maintained, because anyone who saw me is dead, and I was gone before anyone else could arrive. You can use explosions and flies. You can use Shadow Strike, which teleports you into an execution for 2 elf shot. Explosions and flies build combo for another instant kill, and brutalized stealth takedowns can scare nearby orcs. Because Shadow of Mordor doesn't drop your combo when you exit combat. If you're quick, you can use throwing knives or Shadow Strike or a well-placed attack to bring your combo charge into the next encounter, and open with an execution. You can jump, because jumping gives you Elven Swiftness, and Elven Swiftness gives you combo. You can work in drains to keep up your elf shot supply for more Shadow Strikes. You can build a high stealth combo. There are ways of having fun here, sparks of potential that emerge from what's unique about Monolith's design. They will never capitalize on it. Most will never see it. None should feel the need to. Now, was something else I noticed. It made sense, because it never really does make sense for power. A man will take on an army in an open fight, and who, unlike assassins, rarely has an actual reason to show restraint, to waste time hiding in bushes. The kind of stealth Monolith adapts for Talion is strong, but not compared to his other options. So when you're forced to use it, you can feel forced, as if the designers have forgotten what you can do. And it's not the last time the strength of the combat system will make you feel that way. Consider that foreshadowing. For now, I'd like to focus on the fight, the height of the power fantasy. And yeah, it's like Arkham, which makes a lot of sense. This was the system that successfully made players feel like one of the world's biggest badasses. Your attacks track heavily and deal a great deal of damage. Enemies attack slowly, and your primary weapon is defense. Weapon of power. It's a counter, which turns a block into enemies tends to pose the slightest threat, and therein lies the core of the power fantasy. Adding to this basic setup is your vault-free positioning and avoiding uncounterable attacks, your special combo moves that you can access when you build your combo to a particular number, your stun for stunning, your beatdown that instantly kills stunned enemies if it is completed with no interruptions, and your ground takedown, which does the same to grounded enemies. It's Arkham. It did Batman justice. It changed the industry forever. So yeah, it gets the job done here. You will take on hordes and you will comfortably win. You will feel like a fucking demon, just like you would in Arkham. But just like in Arkham, the mechanical fun isn't winning away. Not in winning at all. It can be this easy to defeat your enemies because what you're mastering and optimizing, what you're mechanically engaging with is defeating them efficiently, and if you're so inclined, defeating them stylishly. So, how do you optimize a massacre? Well, you can target the most dangerous enemies first, for instance. You can pace your attacks to hit critical strikes, which award double combo.
ആൽക്കമിസ്റ്റിന്റെ ഗെയിമിൽ കണ്ടതേ ഇല്ല.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
And you can correctly
Dire
judge that you have enough
structures
time to
are
complete a
fortified.
beatdown or a ground takedown. One of Monolith's tweaks to the Arkham formula is allowing the ground takedown to be cancelled. In Arkham, you're committed.
I'll take
So if you're
that.
judged, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna take damage and drop your combo. It's a big punishment. And the problem was that until the player developed a highly accurate instinct for how likely they are to be interrupted, it just wasn't worth the risk. The ground takedown tended to be something that players of average experience used only at the end of a fight, but almost never within it. The move almost disappeared from the moveset, but by reducing the punishment to wasted time, Shadow of Mordor makes the ground takedown relevant for the average player. That's a win.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Put it simply, the skill of experiments the strength of the sword. Not in the sense of doing 5% more damage. Talion takes the sword with the second hand and starts hitting orcs so hard they instantly stagger. That's its greater range and damage. Combos in Mordor feel like the combo, a rising thing characterized by momentum, which serves as both a gratifying reward for perfect play and, but hey, this helps. Combos are another win. Now, when it comes to enemy design, things are very
Radiant
familiar.
structures are
Berserkers punish you for
fortified.
attacking head-on, so get behind them, wait to counter, or find another way. Defenders have a shield which blocks the punch. Their attacks can't be countered, so you've got to drop your instincts and vault instead. Ranged enemies, meanwhile, are more common in Mordor than Gotham, but less accurate. Mindless spam that can truly challenges and buttons at the depth of prioritizing targets. The most interesting thing Monolith does with enemy design is, well, the Nemesis system. We'll get to that. Okay, the second most interesting thing Monolith does with enemy design is that defender shields are breakable. If you break them, they become standard swordsmen and a fraction of the threat, so it is very useful to do so. How do you break them? Well, you can be really persistent with a shoulder charge, or you can use two-handed swings that will shear through shields like they were made of cloth. In the long term, to use beatdowns or throwing knives or the brutalized stealth kill to build your combo to 16 quickly, or to simply set up a shoulder charge on a nearly broken shield. In the right situations, the fragility of defenders encourage unconventional decision making. That is probably the highest praise an enemy type can receive. I'd like to highlight shoulder charges as another now common Monolith guard. They're an instant knockdown. They require a running start. In Arkham, that was the fly kick. But Arkham dropped your combo in an instant knockdown, like by running. The Mordor is locked, which means this move is no longer restricted to entering a fight. It can now be integrated within it. And that's very fun when you're near a ledge to bash someone, and very efficient if you have enough time to pair it with a ground takedown. Big time when you're hunting with a time for an instant kill. Isn't that the same niche as beatdowns? Not quite. Shoulder charges need to be far more common.
The enemy's middle tower has fallen.
Exquisite, and I'll do it just for that. Monolith have successfully made another of Arkham's moves relevant to basic combat. So, lastly, we have the depth of choosing the best special combo for the situation. It's Combat Brand. Thank you for watching. Okay, I'll explain myself. But in a nutshell, the balance is fucked. Execution? That's one kill. Choose your victim well. Or whatever gets you the coolest animation. Wraith Flash is an AoE. It deals very little damage, and it doesn't stun for some reason. It is far stronger when empowered by a combo, so there's a situational use. Then we have Wraith Burn, that instantly kills every grounded enemy. It can be very useful if you pick your moments well, and if you've almost beaten the game, because that's about when you unlock it. Why?
Your
Wraith
middle
Burn is
tower
good,
is
but
under
so far
attack.
there's nothing without a colossal and baffling caveat. Fire Arrow sets orcs on fire, which is usually an instant kill, versus one elf shot. You might wonder, why spend a combo charge if I could just hold my head up and use that one elf shot? Even defenders and the strongest captains have a low effort to finding an explosion source. It's so busted, knowing of its existence outside of yours. Thankfully, most are in the dark. The final ability is Combat Drain. You suck 4 elf shot out of an orc's head. If that orc is at low health, their head will also pop, so there's a full execution for the wisest uses. But in the famous words of girlfriend reviews, hold the fuck up a minute. 4 elf shot? That's a lot of potential damage. That's 2
Dire
shadow
structures
springs.
are
And then
fortified.
Combat Drain becomes Combat Brand. So not only do you get the 4 elf shot, you also remove the drained orc from the enemy team. And he becomes a distraction. Excluding the Wraith Nuke, there are now 0
Your middle
times
tower
Combat
is
Brand
under
is not the
attack.
best special combo in the game. Yeah, Monolith didn't quite get this on balance yet, but if you've played this game, you know something's not adding up. Because
Your
you use
middle tower
execution
is under
despite the fact
attack.
that it is always objectively the wrong move.
With a fury!
You know, because it looks cool. And let's not risk understatement here. That shit goes harder than
Your
cast
middle
iron.
tower
These
is under
kills
attack.
aren't just the fight of victory. Some of this shit. You're done. Take the dead when it is. It's not gonna help the learn any early. But now,
Your middle
there's
tower
a
is
semblance
under
of
attack.
balance to our choice of special combos. We will soon find out the Shadow of Mordor is a lot to the way it looks.
Your middle
I
tower
would go
has
so far as
fallen.
to argue that these qualities are what save it. And improved it, which is more good. But there is another side of the coin. The things Mordor didn't take from Arkham City. Yes, Arkham City. Because it wasn't really until City that Arkham combat truly became deep. The Foundation, established an asylum of attacks and counters with the occasional stuns, vaults, and ground takedowns, is well thought out and effective. But alone, it's just not all that much. There isn't a lot of room to optimize it. There's not a lot of potential for self-expression or variation, and despite its deserved critical acclaim, this was childhood to be mastered in hours. It kinda got memed on for being style over substance. And guess
Between
what?
the planes.
The casual player couldn't give a fuck. There was enough here to satisfy them. But the player of greater experience, and greater experience in this case really isn't that much, quickly begin to find themselves enraged. Then comes City. The difference between them seems almost invisible at first glance. Looks like a few new enemies and a few new special combos. But the player who wanted something more could find in the details a treasury. Gadgets, once reserved for mediocre puzzles, each now had a unique combat utility. You could blow multiple enemies up with a well-placed explosive gel. You could freeze one enemy at a time. You could electrocute metal hammers into a frenzy. And if you let your combo reach 12, Free Flow Focus would re-characterize gadgets once again. Batarang and Backclaw, both single-target knockdowns before, now were distinct, with the Backclaw slam gaining an AoE, and the Batarang freeze grenade now hitting multiple targets. The balance of this became increasingly questionable. Explosive gel was almost Wraithfire level busted, but you can imagine what more than 5 competently balanced moves, each with their own utility, might do for the skill ceiling. A lot. Talion, meanwhile, has the bow, whose application is very useful but not especially interesting, and an extremely situational throwing knife. City's second big idea was making enemy types transferable from one enemy to another through dropped weapons. Somebody else could pick up a shield, or knife, or gun. The advanced player would work to ensure that didn't happen, with awareness and positioning, or by spending a to destroy it. Good arena control makes a huge difference. It doesn't in Mordor. So yeah, it's basically Arkham, but with a skill ceiling of half the height of City, Origins, and
beast of
Night.
all
And combat that here is under twice the pressure, because there's twice as much combat. When you're fucking Mordor, you're constantly fighting. That leads to a simple equation. Eventually, it wears out. Hopes that will take so long for some that what I'm saying means hollow. Perhaps for most who have already played in Arkham, the game's time to keep you safe. And eventually, perhaps too soon, there will be nothing left to master. There's nothing left for me. What sets it, ever reaching the lower border is the way it works. Its competence to progress the seamless flow from move to move. Like a slow walk is your default movement speed, training Batman confidence, and entirely something close to our style based on a well-thought-out pattern. And as the way an enemy starts is broken down systematically. First they stand, then a stagger with a crackle on their knees, and finally a knockdown. Ground takedowns are as creative and cathartic as the executions, and they, like executions, adapt seamlessly to distance, and rapid starts. There is slow-mo and hit stop to add weight to your swings, to highlight the most gruesome details. There is the double kill! Being so powerful all so common and so easy to use, but they uphold the trend. Those closest to the blast are ragdoll, but they're the lucky ones. Some of those burn and crawl, others stumble away. And there are the many things you can do to your enemies that don't necessarily have a place in the balance.
Tata Super Fry Titan Chickenator.
Enemies can be shanked during a grab, and their throats finally cut. There's a dismount kill from Caragors that makes a missile out of you, and there is a button that blows up their heads. There is a button that blows up their heads. What the fuck kind of game are we playing? I'll tell you. We're playing a game about revenge, whose central fantasy is enacting revenge. Shadow of Mordor intends to make you feel the man's family is in front of him, and he now has the means to punish anyone even remotely responsible. I think what's especially effective about the violence in Shadow of Mordor is that it is rooted in and empowered by character. When Talion needlessly delivers a killing blow twice, or 3 times in the most brutal circumstances and raw ways, you understand where it comes from. Not just because you can remember what happened in the introduction, but because that tone is reinforced on every level of the game's aesthetic. Rain and relentless hate to all they're bound to. The violence hits harder because of that, and you can feel the difference when you turn to Shadow of War, where the events that created Talion are far more distant from him and from the focus of the game. There, violence is just violence, more functional than fun. Here, you feel what drives it. I would argue that at times, Mordor goes harder than Doom. Yeah, so until such a time that effect wears down from the first combat just won't die. It just won't fall below a 7 out of 10. Because this might get old, but this never will. And of course, Talion is going to be AI-driven revenge story generator that begins at first contact with 25 willing generated captains, an ambush, or a chance encounter, or maybe you sort them out. You'll find a name and a body selected randomly from a staggeringly large pool of names and bodies. And then there's an introductory monologue, some written and delivered with all the bile you'd expect from the twisted spawn of Mordor, and some with a much deeper tone. Both provides the game of elegant source of gravity and a far-broader contrast, making each personality stand out that much more. Seriously, the content of the monologue is a threat, or an insult, or anything that will make
Your
you
middle
want
tower
to kill
is
them,
under
and that will
attack.
help to convince you that they are not just an enemy, but a friend, that the task for which Monolith ultimately succeeds. Some points
middle tower has fallen.
fixated on their one distinct
Your middle
threat.
barracks
Like
are
all
under
orcs,
middle
for some reason
has
feel the
fallen.
need to refer to their horn at
Your
every
middle
opportunity,
barracks
and
has
some
fallen.
orcs don't seem to have any distinguishing traits beyond the status effect applied to their weapon. Killing spree! Extravagance orcs in
Dire
Shadow of War,
structures are
restraint is a good
fortified.
thing, because believability matters. When you can buy into the illusion that these captains who always give you a short-form reason to want them are an organic part of the world, the fight becomes more than a purely mechanical exercise. It takes on a narrative dimension. You want to fuck them as a character over. It's like the difference between knowing you're fighting a bot online and knowing you're fighting a real person. Every win or loss, the rivalry itself are more real. It's an incredibly impressive thing, and its potential is remarkable. But I do think discussions of this game often miss the forest for the trees.
Hello,
Yes,
love
when the
you.
nemesis
Finals
system
30
performs
minutes.
its potential,
Sure,
the
Alaya.
results can be incredible. But most of the time, you simply meet a captain,
Your
fight
top
them,
tower
and kill
is
them.
under
It
attack.
happens often, and it happens unpredictably. So, most of the time, what the nemesis system is doing for the game is keeping it interesting. You could be running through Mordor, sneaking through a stronghold. You could be in a side mission, and a captain can change the way things go. They could be left on a scrub, they could be alone or with backup. They could have any combination of strengths and weaknesses, like fear of certain beasts, ability of certain behaviors, or immunity to certain tactics. It is a testament to this strength that the War Chief missions in Shadow of Mordor's campaign are its most rare. There are 5 War Chiefs in Sauron's army. They're captains, but stronger. And amongst the captain ranks are their bodyguards, all randomly chosen. Because the boss man is terrified of Talion. The next, in the very same space, involves a hatred of Caragors, which immediately puts me on the back foot. But both of his bodyguards are scared of fire. One flees over a bridge and has a workplace accident. The other slips away from me, leaving only a fight at the top of the castle with the war chief himself. The fight was not very good, but this mission was fantastic. It told its own story, because I could to a degree believe the captains as characters, and it played in a way that I could not predict. So
Yo.
you can see how a captain or three might
മോനെ.
make that side mission
Message
hell of a lot
ഇടാം.
more interesting
Sure.
than freeing 5 slaves would
Your
otherwise
tower
be.
is
Or
under
straight
attack.
through Mordor. It is a testament in itself that these stories happened in my third
Your
playthrough,
top
by
tower
which
has
time the
fallen.
Nemesis system still had shit to show me. Its ability to keep the game interesting had not faltered, or lost even a fraction of its value. So that's the forest. That's what the Nemesis system usually is, and that's its most important strength. But the Nemesis system is
Your
named
top
unknown.
tower has fallen.
For its ability to
top
progress
barracks
past
are
your
under
first
attack.
encounter with the captain into scene 2, 3, to a full dynamic
Your top
story that
has
unfolds
fallen.
over time. Because a captain could escape your first encounter, or you could escape and meet again. You could kill a captain and he could come back to life, or a captain could kill you and you could come back to life. Because Talion is canonically immortal. You can die, but not for long. And a comprehensive memory system will then tie one scene and the next together. If you ran away, they interpreted your separation as cowardice, they'll say so. If you exploited their fear last time, they'll criticize you. Burned or have a metal plate drilled into their heads depends entirely on how you kill them. And if you kill them enough times, you can develop brain damage. That means
Your bottom tower is under attack.
now, just
Your bottom tower has fallen. Your bottom
I am running out of synonyms for incredible. Of course, that is, when this kind of thing happens. The trees
Your
of the
middle
Nemesis
tower
system
is
do
under
have their
attack.
problems. To understand them, we're going to review something else entirely. The campaign. You'll see what I mean by the end. Now, the campaign in
middle
Shadow of
tower
Mordor
has
is at an
fallen.
immediate disadvantage. The Nemesis system will not
Your
work with
middle
scripted
tower
content.
has fallen.
You can't have push crimp mouse molester show up halfway into an emotional conversation with an NPC.
Your
Which means
ancient is
every
under
mission that
attack.
isn't a launching section can't use the most interesting thing about Shadow of Mordor's gameplay. So hey, content.
Your ancient is under attack.
Unique gameplay scenarios, the height of the
Your ancient is under attack.
and to escort.
Your ancient is under attack. Radiant victory.
And perhaps they could have smoothed that over with an effective story, but they don't have one to tell. Performances are excellent. We're talking a Golem so good as Gollum that half the people didn't realize he wasn't the original Gollum. Alistair Duncan, known for many presence, who captures elvish pride, grace, wrath, and a deathly rasp at once. He brings orcs low with thunderous commands, which somehow raises the power fantasy even further. And then there's Troy Baker, who is Troy Baker. Problem is, they don't have much to say. Plot and character beats are spread exceedingly thin, over 5 to 10 minute missions, and relationships with NPCs are quickly abandoned by the story before they can amount to anything of significant impact. Hirgon was an outcast from the Black Gate, his hands of Talion's judgment, for his tenacious efforts leading his men against the Uruk occupiers. A respect develops. Soon we recover Hirgon's wife, Arryn, a fate Talion knows with pain that he will never share. Hirgon organizes you and his men into a plot to destroy the Gorthar, a slave-built monument to Sauron's domination. And following 5 fucking minutes of following, we get the job done. Hirgon nor his ill-equipped men will survive Sauron's retaliation. What's interesting is that Hirgon knows this. He did it so his men could live and die with purpose. Do they die? Do they even attempt to escape? Who knows? This story, spread across 3 missions, is the single most complex interaction with any character in Shadow of Mordor. It leaves a mark on the world, but not on Talion, missing the point of stories that feature brief interactions with a succession of characters entirely, like The Last of Us, Metro 2033, and, Lord of the Rings. The dialogue is decent, Talion's rage brings life and conflict into unnecessary and Gollum, who doesn't really inspire trust. The contrasting absence of rapport between Talion and Celebrimbor is not unnatural given Talion's state of mind, and that both men are soldiers, but neither is it ideal. Celebrimbor's character is as insubstantial as his body, and learning more about him to fill that void by tracking down lost artifacts comes to serve as motivation for over 6 missions. Let me tell you, It is not strong enough to motivate 6 fucking missions. There's only so much to learn. Celebrimbor was an elvish Oppenheimer. He crafted the Rings of Power under the deceiving guidance of Anatar, Sauron's most exquisite lie. Celebrimbor was betrayed, forced to craft the One in the Crack of Doom. But then, he took the ring, used it to rebel, but the ring was loyal only to one. It's an interesting story, and it's cool to watch, but it's not a long one.
Gun run alle. Okay, wait a minute.
Minor insignificant details, many of which will be repeated in the next one, or have been repeated from the last one. And this is what's expected to justify the place of entire quest lines in the plot. Golems in the early game, and Torvins in the late game, who will teach us to fight a Caragor, which will teach us to fight a Graug, which will teach us to fight a stronger Graug, which will lead us to another fucking flashback. In a personal revenge story, we spend half our time chasing glorified Dark Souls item descriptions. Incidentally, almost all the missions that lead you to such a flashback follow a similar formula. You're led to a cave, you find the artifact, and you then fight or flee an attack from a new enemy-type enemy, likely armed with a new skill. Over a quarter of the campaign is flashback missions. It's not a small problem, but the biggest problem with the matter of your actions making sense is that the campaign has absolutely no clue who the fuck you're playing as. Are you Talion, a sword-bearing Doomslayer, a force in one man to reckon with Sauron? Or are you Talion, resurrected Ranger of Gondor, who has a few cool powers but occasionally is handy? The smart answer would be the first one, because that's what the gameplay says. There is no one answer. The campaign flips like a fucking pancake between these two identities. And moments encouraging the quiet approach against a mere handful of orcs, and next, asking you to take out a war chief in his stronghold by yourself. There's a mission earlier in the game in which you are made to gather plants, to create poison, to kill the orcs in a stronghold, to allow Hirgon's men time to free his wife. You could have just stabbed the orcs and skipped the herbology course, but Talion never thinks to bring that up. In all likelihood, you will never use poison again. It goes on. In the third Celebrimbor flashback mission, you're swarmed by ghouls, tens of them, maybe 100, and you will kill them all. In the fourth Celebrimbor flashback mission, Talion behaves as if alerting a similar number of ghouls would mean certain death, and when he inevitably does alert them, we're expected to run for our lives. It still goes on. Sometime before, the Hammer of Sauron will arrive in Mordor to punish the destruction of the Gorthar, and to demand the Grave Walker's head, and Talion will walk out in front of him and demand he take the head himself.
Ranger from the Black Gate. Where was your crew when we bled your wife and gutted your son?
Cool moment, bad fight. You're mostly fighting the orcs, not the hammer, to build execution charge to use on the hammer, but that's besides the point. Point is, who is Talion? The inconsistency is a bad thing in itself, but when it swings towards underestimating Talion, it inevitably leads to dull gameplay, and confusion as to why we're doing what we are. Shadow of Mordor makes the smartest move a game with a weak campaign can. It doesn't get in your way. Missions are short, so not always being sweet doesn't so grievously matter. And there is more to say about its specifics in the late game, but for now, the reason we brought it up in the first place. Because this isn't an isolated incident, it's a trend. Shadow of Mordor has a weak grasp on the power of the character you control, and the most tragic victim of them all is the Nemesis system. Captains should be difficult. Why? Well, for one, because if no captain is tough enough to make their strengths and weaknesses worth leveraging, then the tactical, intentional play Monolith wishes the player would engage with will not be engaged with. And two, because if you're winning fights too easily, not many captains are going to make it to the second scene, and that dynamic revenge story might go unwritten. You should not finish this game with 10 nemesis. That would harm the meaning of any one. But I finished it without any, multiple times, and I'm not alone. So did many enough that the lack of difficulty is widely considered to be the biggest problem with Shadow of Mordor. So why is it too easy? Well, it certainly doesn't help that there isn't a difficulty slider, or that you already feel strong when you start the game, and are then given access to 7 separate progression systems that, if used, will make you many times stronger. But ultimately, it's not a matter of numbers, it's a matter of design. Captains don't attack very often. They don't attack quickly. They can block you, but not often. They can interrupt you, but not often. Some can resist your vault, but none can resist your stun, which makes it very easy to bully them into a combo. You attack until they're grounded, you ground takedown, then execute with the charge you've so far amassed, and repeat. If you get a captain on their own in this game, they are fucked. And it's not very hard to make that happen, or for it to happen by chance. Monolith completely failed to make Arkham work on captains. Simply because of balance, strengths and weaknesses add to this problem. Early game, even into the mid game, captains tend to have far more significant weaknesses than strengths. Things like instant kill vulnerability to stealth takedowns, or a fear of Caragors or fire, which are not exactly hard to come by. Hatreds tend to only prolong their misery. More health won't stop the systems that allow me to bully them, and in this way, hatreds also don't lead to tactical play. It's always quicker to fight through them than to avoid them. The strongest strengths, meanwhile, seen only in the later hours that offer complete immunity to certain forms of attack, still create a captain which you are going to bully, just in a more specific way. If they're a combat master, maybe you'll have to repeatedly hit them from stealth. If that doesn't sound very fun to you, you're right. It's not. The closest Shadow of Mordor gets to boss-type difficulty is immunity states, not movesets. A simple and significant problem in itself, but the point is, it usually doesn't even work. It's difficult to find a difficult captain in this game, and traits most often end up making captains ridiculously weak. The game does make its attempts at helping the situation. One of them is the humiliation. Health is weird in Shadow of Mordor. Your health bar does not contain all your health. You don't die when it runs out. You fall to your knees, and the specific orc who dealt the blow will try to finish you. It's QTE, and it's easy, and after 2 of them, then you die. Perhaps 2 was excessive. Perhaps you should only have had 1, but the idea is brilliant because it makes death and defying it personal. And what it also allows Monolith to do is to have a captain walk away. Say you're not worth the effort, so the captain survives, and you have twice the motivation for revenge than if they had just killed you. Of course, for this to happen, they actually have to hit you. Another thing is retreats. If a captain's scared or tired of a losing battle, they'll run, at a comically fast pace, and the wisdom is clear. If they get away, we get a second scene. Unfortunately, this is soon counteracted by abilities like Pin in Place, which stops them from moving, and Shadow Strike, which moves you to them. And so given the high chance that you will catch up to them, retreats actually end up making their deaths more likely. When a captain is broken, marked by the color green, they are vulnerable to grabs, so if you're near a drop from which to lob them, you have won. If you're not near a drop, you've still won. It'll just take a few moments longer, as the captain fleeing at Mach 2 completely abandons any other Uruks in the initial encounter, which leaves your imminent bullying campaign free of interruptions. Self-restriction is an uncomfortable solution at the best of times, but in this case, I find it almost untenable. Letting the other guy win is not exactly conducive to the kind of emotions a revenge story is supposed to evoke. Self-restriction, to the degree that it's possible, kinda defeats the point, and you're only gonna get better. You're only gonna get stronger. The wonderful moments of met potential are only gonna get rarer. Soon, they won't come at all. For me, they're a distant memory. And it comes to be that many of the things that Monolith would like to make sense in terms of balance and game design just don't. Having put the hammer down, Talion is ambushed by a traveler from Njan, Lothariel, who brings an invitation for Killer Brimbor. How could she know of him? Interesting. Talion accepts her escort to Njan, and there her ragged queen Marwen sends us on a cryptic hunt for an artifact at the end of a cave, and a dwarf who will lead us to an artifact at the end of a cave. Brilliant. More
It's
interesting.
my night to make dinner.
Now, I probably don't need to say the
Let's take our time.
Bring which makes it a highly effective contract.
I'm not afraid.
As really does. It's really good bring.
Let's shine while I got my dick.
The color and lighting are convincing. The air is beautiful today. The walls keep up the standard. The village is an impressive remix of Uruk's Hollow, but to the east is a sprawling fortress of ancient stone cast in the vertical mold of Durthair. It's striking, even from distance as great as the stronghold in the west, Nurnen Fishery, where fishing happens, which gives it an especially unique visual character and answers a question: where the orcs get their food from. One of Monolith's successes with Mordor is the impression of life. A discussion I thought would be best left to Njan. With the fishery, there is a sense of logic, of intention that helps to build this impression of life. And likewise, we see their source of wood and stone, and where both is stored. We observe Uruk fortifications hastily nailed onto old human and elven structures. We see that there is a goal behind the use of slave labor.
Dragon! Shields need a bit more power. We put this zone. It's Alan's safe.
Like the fact that some slaves try to escape.
The dark pierces through.
Trolls are sometimes large, sometimes small. They converse,
The enemy's
refer
here.
to things that are in the story, and find inventive ways to exert their reach. What builds the impression of life There's lots of life. There are cannibals hunting in packs, held captive in cages, basking in the sun, and fighting anything that irritates them, which is everything they see. Yeah, they're cats. And it's remarkable how animals capture the details of their behavior. They circle, pounce, and who are somehow even more upset, rampaging around the room, eating and smashing to emerge suddenly from the earth and even into the late game, you just don't get
Have an enemy out there.
It's the dwarf you're sent to find, Torvin, who provides a formal introduction to the art of hunting beasts. Being a quest line justified by
Well,
cave
we
that tells us
neutralized the
nothing,
zone.
but it's the journey here that matters, if not its place in the story. There's a fun rapport between Torvin's devil-may-care philosophy and the self-serious tale. Kill some caribous, and eventually work your way up to the destruction from the behind the leg. It's very dynamic.
Recharging.
Did you think the trigger would pull itself? And he climbs the ground's back and brands it, and we get to start turning some Uruk character models into Uruk textures, if you know what I'm saying. You don't need me to tell you that this is fun to play. What really lands is that it's fun for Talon. This is the first good thing. Out of character for someone as impatient as Talon. But here's where it gets really weird. Having completed the list, you're allowed to unlock Shadow Mount. Shadow Mount allows you to instantly mount for 2 elf shot. Huh? So I can now teleport in possession of a super weapon for free. Yeah, it's basically free because I use green things to get my elf shot back. Great fire that you have to pretend just that
Our energy's been sapped out of that.
was fun
Recharging
and
shield.
made the subsequent power trip feel earned. And there was a value to having some break it all away. Dialogue choices where Caliban was silent and speed
Through the mundane.
They repeat themselves too. Talion praises Marwan's strategy, Celebrimbor agrees, then Talion praises Marwan's strategy again, and Celebrimbor agrees again. Oh yeah, and it turns out Marwan has been possessed by Saruman the whole time. He was using her to is the mission where you decided that he can brand in order to get the artifact, and the artifact had nothing. It's almost never worth branding from stealth. It'll take you 5 times longer to set up an ambush than it would to kill every orc involved yourself. If you ever do it, you'll do it because it's cool. It's a toy. It's fun. Part of the violent sandbox. And perhaps that's all it was ever meant to be when used on fodder enemies, but it's with the captains that Monolith set their sights a little higher for branding. And playing. Why brand a captain? The answer to that is because you need chiefs in the game. Why branding one of their bodyguards? They branded
This zone's energy has been
you
nuked.
accidentally kill them in an encounter. Once you've got all 5, the fun of fucking around with eternally obedient puppets is the only worthwhile thing Brandon can do for you. It's almost never worth sending an orc to fight another orc, because it's almost
Forming a barrier. Frag out.
because branded captains are of little use to you. And you won't interact with them randomly either. The biggest problem with branding in Shadow of Mordor is that it amounts to an ending to a captain's story. Your relationship with that orc can no longer develop. They can no longer exhibit unique behavior. They can't talk to you or ambush you. They can't defect. They can't help you independently of your plans. Branding makes the game less. You have every incentive to avoid it. Once again, something in the late game that feels like a first draft. A beta build, prototyped in this game to be finalized in the
They can
next.
stay out
And
of our
sadly, there is no advanced aspect of the Nemesis system that does not feel that way. There are power struggles in Shadow of Mordor, where captains will undertake a specific activity in order to gain power. This could be a trial by ordeal, a beast hunt, a duel, an power struggle has a time limit. The idea is prevention. That's meant to be your motive, and it is your mission objective. As it reads, you must stop the orc doing a thing in order to prevent them gaining power. First problem, who cares if they gain power? No amount of power will stop me from ruthlessly bullying them, and the increments of power they gain are small. So the idea of prevention is a complete misfire, and power struggles like branding are left as a toy. It's fun to watch captains fight each other, and it's nice to have an easy way to get into some captain fights. But even as a toy, power struggles
Casting a frag.
because they were designed for prevention. The mission was there are 2 problems here. 1, the interruption.
Recharging shield.
Things that help us see character instead of technology. So a literal detachment.
Come on, defend this zone.
Power struggles are decidedly mediocre. Fun scenarios weighed down by the but it sucks they're not what they were meant to be. And we can see that the biggest and most consistent problem for all this is a lack of difficulty. That's why branding and power struggles feel like a waste of time when you're not being forced into them. But we can also relations from simple relations, the more unfinished it seems to be. Power struggles wouldn't be very good even if they made sense. Branding would still make the game less interesting because the advanced elements
Shields need a bit more power.
Skeletal. Will this trend is to cross the sea, take the Black Hand's fortress. There's a fight. It's a cool one, because charging a fortress is always going to be cool. And it was a good idea to script in a final showdown with whoever the systems have determined to be your nemesis. It was a saddening demonstration of the game's flaws. I had no nemesis. I didn't even remember what it was. I had to guard an empty fortress. Only the puppet. It's a very strong atmosphere, perfectly fitting for the magician of the Black Captains, the Tower of Sauron. Oh, fuck him down when they get this cutscene out. He toys with it, rumbling casual threats, meeting your sword unbothered and
Thermite out.
he is here to pull you apart, but the knife cuts so much deeper his way. Celebrimbor chose you, and he can release you at any time. He finds such satisfaction in it,
Come on,
and you can
defend
hear
his
these
zone.
nuances, the hate for you, the pleasure of having it so easily, the simple fact of his
By the earth.
and he captures magnificent evil in every one.
Portal's ready.
They took our zone.
Airstrike.
Quick, go here.
Grenade. Throwing an arc star.
Ammo here. Hurry. Support formation. Frag out.
Or for him to be notified of his presence.
Here's their
The
heart.
arena is the stealth systems in the industry.
If I had a
The
heart,
fight will
it
be
would
over
be
in
racing
moments.
right now.
The tower then cosplays Europe and gets stabbed to death in a cutscene. There is no curse in Elvish, Entish, or the tongues of men for this treachery, but I'll settle with such my fucking balls. Celebrimbor's deception is addressed with appropriate anger. It's true, you can let Talion die, but do we not still want revenge? Only the Black Hand remains, and so their relationship continues unaffected. There is no this game on the next stage has grievous betrayal.
Recharging my shield. Don't worry about me.
What was the point? Known as Rex to return. Tharion's home is abandoned. We don't know.
Their
Now
defense.
doom around.
My shield need a bit more power. Casting defense.
And it both succeeds and fails in ways the last one did not. The charge has you on a Caragor, but its speed is quickly made a problem because the talons of the Black Hand need to introduce themselves. So, having ridden your Caragor halfway into the field, or perhaps even penetrated their line, you stop to chat, completely undermining the momentum of the charge. It happens again with every talon, with every death, and for every effect trigger, even on your allies. And so the battle goes on to be constantly interrupted. What works is the presence of sound.
Recharging my shield.
Black speech and wild roars boom across the battlefield. There's still problems, but anti-climax
Casting a frag.
yet. Celebrimbor mentions his
Obvious damage piercing our skill.
falling out the ring.
We took this zone. It's Talon's space.
First off, how long have you been sitting on this information, Brimstone? We're going to the Black Hand, and what he needs is you. Do you have a plan? I'm sure nothing bad will happen since we don't have a plan. Ah, fuck. The sudden raising of the stakes helps ease the wound of the Black Hand almost instantly exiting the story, with only 3 lines of speech as a goodbye, but another wound is soon to be opened. Sauron Reborn is slain in a 15-second quicktime event. The Black Hand, lie still. We are denied our revenge. Yeah, it's as bad as they say. And then it gets worse. Valinor awaits, Celebrimbor says longingly, but it's Talion who suggests they stay in the living world. Could you rest for eternity, knowing you had a chance to stop him, and did nothing? A good question. But why is it coming from Talion? Talion is here to avenge his family, and to return to them. He has helped others at times, but what indication has there been that he would go on for what could be a century or 1,000 years, just because it's right? What great change occurred between his anger at Celebrimbor for not allowing him to die, and his decision here, a mission later? It's not a character arc, it's a sudden shift pulled from nothing to artificially create momentum for the sequel. And so are his final words, that the time has come for a new ring. What? That's not Talion speaking, it's Monolith, and what they should have said is sorry. The only good thing about these final moments is the song that plays in the credits. Shadow of Mordor is an embarrassment of a revenge story, and a victory of a revenge game, a conjunction of extremes made possible by the fact that it is a video game, and it doesn't need the script to tell a story. The catharsis comes when Talion's butchering orcs in random battles, not from its aimless plot threads or its 20-second boss fights or its absent villains, or its kills that happen in cutscenes or its nemesis who kills himself. The Black Hand is in the first cutscene and the last cutscene. It's a fucking revenge story, and you spend more time prancing about with Torvin for a trinket than engaging even indirectly with all 3 Black Captains combined. It's entertaining, and it never feels like it's getting in your way. So like many of Mordor's weak points, I would not prefer the game without it. But it is an insubstantial, forgettable mess, unworthy of the story told in every moment of unscripted play. Now we'll return to it one more time. You would expect Shadow of Mordor to have a strong endgame, not because of an abundance of side missions, which in this game are just a series of basic challenges, but because of the Nemesis system and its infinite dynamism, and it's true, and it is remarkable. I know I've said it before, but holding up to repetition is kind of the idea. It is remarkable how long the Nemesis system remains strong. 3 playthroughs, hours into the endgame, and it still doesn't feel repetitive. It still immerses and excites me when a captain turns up when I least expect it, and it still hits like nothing else to beat them. But of course, we can't ignore the matter of doing anything but beating them. If you were struggling to get the best out of the Nemesis system before, then your success with the endgame will depend entirely on how conscious you are of the problem, because the endgame provides you with the best opportunities you're ever going to get to address it. But there is something that makes it very easy to nail the coffin shut. The nails in this metaphor are the progression systems. There's a lot of them. They're quite rewarding. But this is a game that finds it difficult to be difficult with no upgrades. With them? Just bear in mind that I'm being serious. So to start us off, Talion gains the ability to tank a hit without dropping the combo. Critical strikes start awarding 3 to your combo instead of 2, whilst the combo charge requirement is lowered from 8 to 5. And that combo charge can be spent twice. And even if you don't spend it, you're still stronger, because the charged sword now deals more damage. I've already mentioned Shadow Mount, a 6-story war machine for 2 of your 14 total elf shot. Your slow-mo time for aiming will double, and your draw speed will be cut in half. And then, there are the runes. Dropped from every captain after death, each of your 3 weapons can have 5 runes equipped. They can restore slow-mo, reduce costs, improve damage, or even allow you to handle your combo for longer. These bonuses are significant, and you can have 15 of them. And then there's the weaponry forging. Your reward for completing the side missions, which given their relatively low abundance is not hard to do, is a legendary sword, bow, and dagger, each of which have an ultimate ability and a long cooldown. The sword grants instant executions, the bow grants infinite focus and ammo, whilst the dagger renders you invisible. You can also double Talion's health bar. You can also stun enemies when you vault over them, for free. I'm not making this up. This is what happens if you just use the progression systems. Guess what happens if you grind for the best runes? It was hard to die with no upgrades. Now, I wouldn't know. This is 10 times as impactful as anything in Arkham, and twice what you'd see in Assassin's Creed. This is a game that is too easy, that gives you every opportunity to make it massively easier. And I don't blame the progression. Progression's immensely rewarding. I blame the context that makes it poisonous, and that if you want to see the best of this game, you have to dodge Monolith's contradictory design like bullets in the Matrix. Well, here's how it's done. Don't use the fucking progression systems. Step 2 is using death threats, a late game ability that allows you to dominate anyone and make him send a message to a captain of your choice. I'm coming to Calabrim Batista bomb your bitch ass, so clench up and watch out. The captain will gain strength and health and keep himself protected by a gang at all times. If you beat him anyway, there's a 40% chance he'll drop an epic rune. But of course, that's not the point. Death threats are a brilliant idea. This was the one way self-restriction could play into the revenge fantasy instead of against it, and it enhances the rivalry that Shadow of Mordor thrives on twice over. Why did they leave it so late? Who fucking knows? But the orcs that spawn in the endgame are the toughest they'll ever be, the most strengths, the fewest weaknesses. So, death threat a war chief. Fight him and his gang and all his bodyguards. That's difficulty in Shadow of Mordor. Sometimes it's chaos, which is why all my best memories of the Nemesis system come from this part of the game. All the captains whose names I can remember. I remember how Takra the Brave would always find me when I was fighting another captain, and that would always turn the tide. I remember the satisfaction of crossing names off the list until I got down to him. You have to push Shadow of Mordor closer to its potential, crank it into place and smack it on the side like a faulty TV set. And it sucks, because no matter how you slice it, that will leave most people behind. But if you go to the trouble, it's worth your while. When it comes to revenge, there's nothing else like
The
it.
immortal out.
There is one thing like it. Its sequel. The Shadow of War looms large over Mordor. It's in this game that Monolith's ambitions were realized, and according to most, successfully so. What was once a sandbox is now a mechanic. It has a story that is not a disaster, a soundtrack that makes itself known, more maps, more animals, more life, more expansions, and even more to the Nemesis system. It addresses much of what was wrong with its humble prototype, and that puts this game in a strange situation. Besides completionism, why play Shadow of Mordor if you could play Shadow of War? My answer is focus. Shadow of Mordor, in a way that a game as ambitious and multifaceted as War could never be. You're in the mud, rain, rift.
They made that look easy.
Then a pretty good game
Let's celebrate with some tuna. An enemy has been slain. At least they had each other. That can't be good.
Not helped along down into agonizing limits of your own pathetic ways to get around these hurdles. That would be brilliant. Brilliant.org creates clarity, and in doing so makes learning reasonable for the busy, or let's face it, the impatient. Brilliant is the integrated.
Teammate is down. What's the plan? Enemy down. Let's celebrate with some tuna.
A bunch of other words they probably made up, often featuring
An enemy has been slain. Enemy down. Celebrate with some tuna.
Njan. I joined Tier 3 because I wanted to hear White Lightsabers out loud.
The
Dan
immortal
Walker,
out of
Newt,
them.
Bracken Hawk, Nathan, Attila, Caleb Finnemore, DJ, Chino, Chase Baker, Eli Weaver,
An ally has been slain.
Joseph,
An enemy has been slain.
Corey Walterbeek, Idibari, and Floyd Gibbons. Only, Robbo Runner, Jack, W, Jason, Shahzaid
Enemy down. Let's celebrate with some tuna. Get up. This will be killer.
Ubisoft is a multi-technical scene that dozen franchises while hiding its bulk underwater. However, as a company, Ubisoft has some
You're mine now. You're getting better and better.
of their current leadership. Since that's in hopes that one day
An enemy has been slain. You're getting better and better. Double kill.
sent me free games for review.
You're getting better and better.
Complimentary gifts. The
Enemy down.
games
Let's celebrate with some tuna.
charity event I hosted for Child's Play charity a few years ago. And I currently have emails out to their PR teams for statements on their
I think an Ursa got another teammate.
relationship. And I also don't have
An enemy has been slain. Let's hope they both learn their lesson. You're getting better and better. Enemy down. Let's celebrate with some tuna.
against several C-level.
An enemy has been
The
slain.
chief creative officer, the head of Ubisoft Montreal, the co-founder of Ubisoft Toronto, the Assassin's Creed creative director, 2 vice presidents, and the global head of human resources.
That can't be good.
While all of this sounds like good, strong steps forward, employees at Ubisoft continue to make significant complaints and accusations. Employees spoke to Kotaku and said that several of the known abusers
Minions have reached your fortress.
You are a force to be reckoned with.
According to many sources, during this entire
Enemy down! Let's celebrate with some tuna! A teammate is down. What's the plan? An enemy has been slain. At least they had each other. You're unstoppable.
told that there was no chance of anything being done since the people saying things were directed with or that complaints would just cause additional problems for the employee. That third-party review board appears to be where complaints go to disappear as well, with employees saying that they have waited over a year for resolutions to issues, only to never receive any sort of feedback about whether issues were addressed at all. I have always valued free
An ally has been slain. That can't be good. Enemy down! Let's celebrate with some tuna!
It's also a
You're getting better and better.
Minions have reached your fortress.
An enemy has been slain.
to them because there's nothing,
The
no
immortal out.
no new measures.
ഇത് വാങ്ങാൻ മേബി ഒരു കുറച്ച്
Your time.
This has real-world effects.
This will be
in the game,
killer.
as employees are now saying that it has led to stalls, delays, and more interns and seniors. Their staffing levels are actually still within industry norms. They also announced a pay raise of up to 20% more for senior staff and 5% more for junior staff. One of the issues at Ubisoft since then
A teammate is down.
been
What's the
claims of
plan?
increasing pay gaps amongst workers, with an unforeseen consequence. Assault, racism, resignations.
I see no one told you what to do. Double kill. Enemy down! Let's celebrate with some... I wouldn't have... Triple kill! I've never seen such skill.
Cancel games is
4 down.
and
On to the
strong.
last.
Games like Splinter Cell VR, Ghost Recon Frontline, Pioneer, Hyperscape, King Arthur, and more. And we're all waiting for news that Beyond the Prince of Persia remake, The Division Heartland, Champions, Oddballers, and Fun. Ubisoft slate of these games quite being wiped off. But why is unless Vegas 2, and over 100 more are losing
Enemy down!
the ability to
Let's
log
celebrate
in,
with an enemy has been
any
slain.
online features, the ability to play their board,
Your talents are on par with Maiden.
that included
Don't let this stop you.
access DLC, and yes, you heard me correctly, as part of Ubisoft's
Shut
cost-cutting
down.
attempts, strongly inferred by their desire to eliminate the
Enemy down! Let's celebrate with Lies door. One tide. An enemy has been slain.
and Prince of Persia,
A teammate is down. What's the plan?
no longer allow you to download and play the DLC
An ally has been
with
slain.
the game.
Be careful.
Only DLCs
Be
and
careful.
online features will be affected by the upcoming decommissioning. Current owners of those games will still be able to access. Ubisoft sent out this statement as if to say, don't worry, yes, we're deleting the DLC you paid for, but at least you can still play the games you paid for. Altogether, there are 50 different games that you can use Ubisoft to play their DLC. Something which they would later steal back. All of the guys that closing online services
The
for
immortal
some
out of
older games allows us to focus our resources on delivering great experience for players.
That can't be good.
About they aren't releasing new games.
At least they had each other. Enemy down!
Since 2019,
Let's celebrate with some
Ubisoft has
tuna.
experimented with
Minions have
blockchains
reached
and
your
NFTs,
fort.
Triple kill! You're getting better and better.
RTX.
Minions have reached your
This all
fort.
came together in December 2021 when Ubisoft announced they would
This
introduce
is An ally has
The beginning.
What do we want? What do we want them to do? Let's hope they both learn their lesson. You're getting better and better. Life is
Minions have reached your fort.
triple kill.
However, Ubisoft's approach was nothing if not centralized. It's so deeply expected that you wouldn't either. To explain, serial number displayed on the blockchain and metadata of the blockchain with depth, especially in games like CS:GO, where races can sell for hundreds of
You are a force to be reckoned with.
doubling your profit, hypothetically. However, there's other
You are a force to be reckoned with. Their battle is over. They had each other.
If you get banned, NFTs are banned too, including on third-party marketplaces because they control your access to your account, which controls that access to those items on the blockchain. They even specifically say they will block transactions into your wallet if they choose to. That's the exact opposite of decentralized. Further, they only allow you to resell through specific third-party marketplaces they authorize and approve, which of course they take a fee through. All this while arguing that any scams, hacks, or threats are outside of their responsibility because thanks to the decentralization of blockchains, well, they just can't reverse or cancel transactions. None of the benefits, all of the problems, and additional hands in your pocket the whole way. What an incredibly awful implementation. And all this while offering NFTs that included none of the legal benefits of an NFT either. No, Ubisoft isn't giving up the right to create derivative works, to use the item in a video, to sell merchandise or fractionalized shares. No, they give you nothing. Because again, Ubisoft owns these things and controls them, not you. So with that implementation, again, outside of the actual concerns many people have about the blockchain in the first place,
നീ എന്തെങ്കിലും പറഞ്ഞെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ കേട്ടില്ല. ഡിസ്കോർഡ് റിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്താൽ മതി. റെഡി കളിക്കുന്നെങ്കിൽ ഓക്കെ കളിയാ ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ അറിയാം.
it would have been better to have this just be a regular DLC item, because at least that way you get protections from scams and hacks. Worse still is that Ubisoft tried to play this out as if it made your investment worth more, because, well, what if Ubisoft disappears? Your items live on.
എനിവേസ് ഞാൻ തൽക്കാലത്തേക്ക് സ്ട്രീം നിർത്തുകയാണ്. ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് ടയേർഡാണ്, ബട്ട് സ്റ്റിൽ ഷുവർ വട്ട് എവർ. ആൻഡ് പതിപോലെ ഗുഡ് ബൈ GGs ആൻഡ്